Hey everyone, it's Pig for Life back with another Chatterday. This time we're at season 1, episode 9, collection evolutions, and we got 3 special guests here today. We got Sherlock Holmes. I always get this wrong. Over here, we got Russ Mechanic down in the corner, and then back with us again, Steve Camilleri.
Hey everyone.
Let's go ahead and get started. We'll start off as usual with guest tech specs. So, did you guys before we get started? Do you guys get the whole evolution?
Yeah, I'm not liking the Bay first at the end, but whatever.
Well, I need something like bigger. So
Understood.
You could use
like evolution of man, like gorilla turning into the man.
You should use the mega scale Optimus from what's that one company?
Mega Action Series.
Yeah,
I do have him. I just never opened him. I have him and Megatron. They're just sitting unopened. But all right, well, at least somebody else got that. And then obviously the evolution stuff is Pokemon. So that's why I got that Pokemon font. Just telling you guys how much effort I put into each of these thumbnails. All right, so actually I should change those. It says Chaddicus, but we're going to get started with Sherlock Holmes, aka Chaddicus. Why don't you tell us who you are, where you come from, and why you're here on Chatterday talking about this topic?
I'm Chad. Who I am, I guess mainly I met Henry in Virginia back in 2000. I don't know, was it 2015, I think, when we used to do hangouts with third-party prototypes and just our group. I hail from St. Louis, Missouri. I currently live in St. Robert, Missouri. I'm here just simply because I brought up the idea that
Steve's Galaxy S22.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Keep going.
Okay, anyways. Apparently Alexa wants to play. No, I'm here simply because I think I brought up the topic of just the idea of how our collections have evolved over the years. Like for me personally, I started mainly with Transformers, and I've evolved all the way to a little bit of everything in my the 80s and 90s nostalgia that I grew up with.
All right, great. All right, let's move over to Rusty. Welcome back, Rusty.
Hey guys, I'm the Rusty Mechanic, and I'm just the idea of collection evolution intrigued me as well. My thoughts on it are mostly going to be around probably the way that my Transformers collection evolved to what it is today from what it started out when I was growing up. But same as Chad, I just thought the topic was going to be super interesting, and I was curious as to what, how other people's collections evolved and if they had drifted out of Transformers like Chad is suggesting. And of course, I'm always here just trying to help Peek out.
Peek out. I'm gonna have to start using that one. All right, and last but not least, Steve Camilleri. Let us know where you hail from and why you're here.
Hey everyone, Steve here. I'm from lovely Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And this is something that has hit my collection in the last few years, primarily being an MP collector, and the pace of MP releases slowing down and things like Legends picking up. My collection has certainly evolved over the last few years specifically. So I thought this was a great topic to be a part of.
All right, awesome. And for me, myself, obviously I'm the host, so I have to be here, but I thought it was an interesting topic as well because I don't really think about my collection evolving, but definitely, like, in hindsight, it definitely has evolved. And I guess my collecting habits itself has expanded and taken almost like cyclical, the things that I wanted to collect. I was really into arcade stuff when I was younger, arcade sticks, and then I got into Transformers, obviously, then some other stuff. So it was really cyclical. But we're not going to get into that much of my story time because we have a new segment called Story Time. So this is a segment where I want to give each of you guys a little bit of a chance to give us a little bit more in-depth story about maybe how your collection evolved, and really just I think this is one of the things that we haven't done a lot on Chatterday. It usually is segments where I plan stuff and surprise you guys, but I wanted to give the guests the time to actually talk about the topic itself and not have it be controlled by what's going in my mindscape and so forth. So while I let the other three maybe think about a couple of stories that they want to tell, I'll go ahead and get started. And like I said, for me, while I have been a Transformers fan since childhood, I really got started collecting by happenstance back in like 2014, right when I met Chad, collecting the US MP line. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is what I wanted as a kid, but modernized. And I went ahead and I was collecting it. And then I was like, I'm only going to collect the US stuff. And then I realized very quickly how much more was released in Japan already and how much more was being released on a regular. So I was like, okay, I'm only going to collect, one of each masterpiece. And then I went into saying I'm going to collect, one of each release from the US and Japan. And then it just spiraled out of control to where I was collecting even variants or different boxes and all this kind of stuff. And it kind of exploded. And I think, at some point, it's almost like collection fatigue, where you're like, I have just too much stuff, and I say it all the time. I just have too much stuff that I buy and don't open. So recently, in the last year and a half, I've been doing less of just pure buying without really enjoying, like thinking what I want to collect. Right? I'm not buying. I don't want to buy just because a new release comes out. I want to buy because it means something to me, and I want to review it or something like that. Which is why a lot of my content has been reduced. So that's kind of where my story time is. And then also the evolution of things that I've liked has gone like up and down. Again, Masterpiece spread into a lot of the movie figures. I'm really into, and I still continue to be into the movie lines. I think they're some of the coolest designs and transformations. So I'm really into that. And I was into the IDW line really deep. And then since I stopped reading the comics, I'm kind of off of that. And then the whole Legends thing started up, and I just had to pull back from Legends because, again, it's just a slippery slope and so expensive. So, and now I'm back to, again, just trying to focus on the things I really enjoy. And a lot of that isn't even like transforming Transformers anymore. Some of it is just not statues, but I guess action figures like the 3-0, 3A line and stuff like that. So that's a little bit of story time for me. I don't want to take up too much time, but next up, who wants to talk about how their collection has evolved?
I'll go.
All right, Chad.
All right. So I probably got back into collecting around 2008, 2009 with Revenge of the Fallen. On top of that, at the same time, I was collecting animated. So, and I wasn't just collecting here and there figures. For Revenge of the Fallen, I essentially was a completionist. If it was a character that had a toy, I was buying it. And then that further evolved, pun intended here, into I found out about like the universe and the classics at the time. I didn't know anything about them until I joined TFW 2005. So then I went down that rabbit hole, and then it continued to evolve with like the masterpiece lines. And then as the years went on, I was having everything. I was having classics, generations, masterpiece, third party, and eventually it just became just too much to where I was like, all right, I'm going to just focus on, we'll say, masterpiece, because deep down inside, I essentially just wanted the definitive version of those characters. And so at that time, I was just collecting masterpiece. It didn't matter who it was a masterpiece. I was buying it, regardless of if I had any connection to them whatsoever. And then as the collection kept getting bigger and bigger, and my space was so finite that I had to like start trimming down the masterpiece line as well. And then where I'm at nowadays is essentially that I've kind of jumped off of Transformers to where I have I have like 10 masterpiece figures, because I just figured those are probably the 10 that probably have like the most, I guess, meaning towards me, like characters that I guess latched on to growing up. And then as I culled the rest of the masterpiece and the Transformers line, I kind of decided, you know what, I kind of want my my childhood nostalgia figures that I had. So I started like diving into like Turtles, and I'd buy like or I got like the basic 10 of those, and then NECA has their things. And so essentially, like I've dove into pretty much all the 80s, 90s properties that I grew up with, that I collected when I was a child, and I essentially are collecting like the definitive versions of those. So for Turtles, it's the NECA and the 90s movie line. And then occasionally I'll buy like boxed figures of properties that just randomly I had as a child. Like up top, I got a bunch of Captain Planet up there, and that's where I'm at nowadays. Is essentially, I'm just it's just everything that encompasses my childhood. I'm wanting a little piece of it here and there.
So who's making the Captain Planet stuff?
What's that?
Who's making the Captain Planet stuff?
Nobody's making Captain Planet stuff. That's all 90 whatever.
Oh, I thought you meant somebody was reading, because I was like, really? Because
not yet. I'm sure Super 7 will be jumping on that sometime.
Oh man, I was
You're excited.
I love Captain Planet. It was so campy, but what was the
well, that's the thing with Captain Planet is because I discovered that there was European figures that we didn't get in the US, and so those can be pricey. So
what was the Russian girl's name? The one with the wind power?
Linka.
Oh yeah, I had a huge crush on her. Huge crush. First time I heard a Russian accent, I was like, oh yeah. All right, well that's really interesting that you've expanded. I think I have expanded, but not probably to the degree, and I definitely haven't trimmed down as much as I should, like as you can see. But I one thing I wanted to ask is, I'm like kind of OCD. How do you like organize your collection so that they're, you have TMNT on the same shelf as like, a different series and stuff like that? Does that bother you or?
No, it doesn't bother me because as my collection evolves, so as my display. So like early in the days, detolfs were the thing. So I had a couple of detolfs, and then eventually the collection outgrew those to where I've moved on to the Billy bookcases. And then recently I came to the conclusion that Billy bookcases only give you so much room. What are they, 11.5 deep by 33 inches, I think, wide. That might give you some space to display. So I ditched the Billy bookcases and I went with the floating shelves that you can get at Menards or Lowe's or something, because it kind of gives you a lot more area to work with. And so pretty much all my turtles are on one 6-foot long board. So
nice. I like the floating shelves, and I think that's the one thing that I've done a little bit, but the biggest thing for me is I hate that it gets all the dusting, and I'm so lazy I'm so lazy about cleaning that's one of the challenges for me. But awesome. Yeah, thanks for bringing up the topic. That I think we're in like a kind of, I feel like maybe it's just almost confirmation bias, but I feel like we're in like a golden age of like retro stuff right now, right? Especially in our age demographic. We're like 30s, 40s, like the 80s and 90s are like in full swing, more so than the 70s or 2000s. I think we're kind of getting to that. I wonder if there's like kind of a sweet spot for retro where everything's like a 30-year gap or something like that, just because that's when you start having that expendable income as an adult to be able to splurge on nostalgia. All right. Well, who wants to go next, Steve or Rusty?
I'll go next.
All right, Rusty, you go up.
So I'll go way back in the Wayback Machine, but I'm sure all of us collected Transformers and G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe, right? The three main stuff when we were growing up as kids in the early 80s. But for me, my family was military, so we moved around a lot, and unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that I had as a kid, lots of times got lost or got broken. So I had a sad, depressing childhood sometimes when it came to trying to collect stuff, and then we'd have to move, and then we'd either sell stuff or whatever. So I actually stopped. I think probably in my teenage years, I actually switched to comics because that was easy to collect and transport and box away and all that stuff, right? So Marvel and DC comics became like a huge thing. I had boxes and boxes of stuff in my in my room and under my bed and all that stuff. And unfortunately, the same similar story happened. Eventually, I went off to college and I couldn't bring the stuff with me. And lo and behold, after I was finished college 3 years later, I came home to find out that my mom had sold all my comics. So I had to start with something else. But then when I was in college, I ended up getting hooked on Magic the Gathering, which was an absolutely insane. Like for anybody who's ever collected or tried to collect that is like soul wrenching. I've never experienced any other thing that I've collected that like you just chasing stuff all the time, right? You had to get that card. You needed it in your deck. You want to be able to play it. You want to be able to be competitive and all that stuff. And I think I collected Magic the Gathering for like probably 15 years.
Oof.
And had this massive collection of cards that I just couldn't like you couldn't keep track of it anymore. Like I was trying to use like software and stuff to try and keep track of it all. And if you're like in your early 20s, right? Like going back to what you said about, when you're in your 30s and 40s, you got some expendable cash, but when you're in your 20s, you don't have that expendable cash. And I realized that like the money that I spent on Magic the Gathering, I could have bought a house by now. Right. And so I gave it up. I sold all my cards. And then I remembered, at one point it was like you remember back to your childhood, and the thing that I really loved out of all the cartoons that I watched was Transformers. But I also started getting into motorsports at about the same time too, and I realized that I think it was Hasbro had made the alternators line where they were taking real world vehicles and making them into the G1 characters, and that really sparked my my interest in Transformers again, even more so than when the movies came back. Um, and I made this decision at the time when I started that collection that I wanted to have one of each, right? I wanted to have one in robot mode, I wanted to have one in vehicle mode, and the alternators came in vehicle mode in the box. So I actually kept one in the box and I opened the other one. And I ended up actually getting every alternator that they had. And right at the point where I actually completed my collection, and then this goes into my completionist mode. I am an absolute completionist, unfortunately. When I completed that collection and then they stopped the alternators line, I went, well, what am I going to do now? And it was right around the same time that I realized that there was this Masterpiece line, and I think the Masterpiece line had been out for a few years, and I hadn't even realized it existed. And I knew that they were expensive, so I went and I sold all of my alternators just so I could get MP1. And then that kicked off my Masterpiece collecting, and that's where I've stuck. And I've always been the type that like my evolution of collectioning has always been one thing. I've never actually like done what Chad's done and branched out into other stuff. I've always focused on just one thing, being a completionist, I think, right? And I just focus on one thing. So right now my focus has been Masterpiece, but that legend stuff is sucking me in and I'm getting scared, and I'm gonna have to like pull back on one or the other, I think. But that's where I'm at now. It's all, as you can see behind me, it's all Masterpiece right now.
Yeah, that's a very interesting choice, right? Like it's a very different choice than Chad, where he basically has a breadth of stuff. You just basically just switch off your addiction to a
Yep.
different addiction.
Yep. I just give up one for another.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm with you on that. Like, because when I get into something, I get into it really deep. Like I was telling you guys before we got started, I just started 3D printing, and I've been like nonstop 3D printing for the last like 3 weeks, and that's like all I've been wanting to do with my time. But I still maintain like the other stuff, so it's just kind of crazy that I get deep, and then I just switch off, and then I almost like switch tracks, but I can't focus on getting too deep on any one thing. As far as Magic the Gathering, so let me ask, since you always get out of another one collection to get into another, like you sell off your stuff, a lot of people, not a lot, but some people think about collecting as like an investment. Has that turned out for you where you were able to get out at least what you put in, or did you lose
Nope.
lots every single time?
Never. And I never go into a collection thinking that it's an investment, right? I just go into a collection just for the enjoyment of the collection. TM, say no to Legends drugs. I'm with you. But yeah, no, I never, like I learned that lesson with Magic the Gathering, right? When when Magic the Gathering cards come out, when the new set comes out, there's always the new cards that come out, and everybody's got to have them, and the price skyrockets, right? And within weeks, that cost or that price on that card just plummets, right? So it's worse than playing the stock market. And I learned that early on, to just enjoy what you're collecting, and not, because if you focus so much on if it's an investment or not, then you lose that enjoyment to some, potential
Yeah.
situation, right? When a reissue happens, right, the prices on everything plummets and everybody freaks out, and it's like, I don't care, guys. Like, I just want to have it on the shelf and I want to look at it,
Yeah. So I gotta ask, did you in your time of collecting MTG, did you have one of those elusive Black Lotuses?
No, I got in just after the alpha set was released. So I never, I don't, I think I saw it once in a deck, but it was at the time that nobody gave a, nobody cared. Nobody understood the power of being able to like cast 3 mana right off the bat, right? We weren't at that level yet. I never had the opportunity to get those cards, unfortunately.
Yeah, even nowadays you see those this whole set of like card
There's
opening retro packs and people
Yeah.
opening, and like, I think there was just a few months ago where somebody opened one live on TV and got a Black
Yeah.
Lotus, and he was like, my hands are shaking. I'd be like, I would be too, man. You got like
Yeah.
tens of thousands of dollars in your hand right there.
Yeah, he's wearing gloves, right? So he's not putting
Yeah,
any
exactly.
oil into it. Yeah.
No human
Anyway,
oil.
those guys can have their cards.
All right, well, great story time. All right, Steve, you're up last.
Okay, so first off, I saw one of the comments from Chris. Yes, I sadly am a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and I intentionally decided to miss the last Chatterday to watch that Game 7 debacle, and I really don't want to talk about that.
Oh yeah, you messaged me
Game
afterwards and was
7.
like, I skipped that for this.
Yeah, and I'm like, why did I do this? And why do I do this?
Game 7. Game 7 is murder for the Leafs.
Yeah, absolutely. So my collection, it certainly has evolved over the years, but I started out predominantly with Transformers, and I have a similar story to Sony from TM Reviews, because I certainly, when MPs first came out, I had no idea they were around. I've always loved Transformers and just never had any idea. And my wife ended up getting me MP13, and basically I just went right down the rabbit hole. I had no idea what these were. She always knew that I loved Transformers, and she would get me other things before, like even some of the cartoons on DVDs and things like that. And then, this thing just blew my mind, and I just had no idea what it was, and just started researching it, found out that the line was around for a bit, and then discovered there were things like TFCon, and there was one in Toronto that was certainly going on for years at the time, and I've gone every year since. And so then for the first few years, I focused predominantly on MP and just Transformers and nothing else. And I went to TFCon one year, I think it was 2018. And then I stumbled across Iron Factory legend scale figures for the first time, and saw those for the first time and just thought, wow, these are really neat. I really like them. So picked up a few and then did some more research at home. And then I stumbled across this YouTube channel called Pake for Life Reviews, because apparently, Pake back then did all the Iron Factory reviews and tutorials. And then I started going down the Iron Factory rabbit hole. And then just over the years, things have exploded more so on the legend side than MP. So while I'm still collecting MP, and I'll continue to do that, I've ramped up quite a bit with legends over the last few years. And then just when things come out, I go to a few other things, G.I. Joe Classified. I just really like the styling of those figures, and 3 3/4 figures for action figures themselves, that never really did it for me. Of course, I had a bunch of them as a kid, but then when Classified came out and just seeing how much better those are, I really enjoyed those. Black Series as well, but I'm much more focused on that because I just really enjoy and like Stormtroopers. So my Black Series collection is just all different kinds of Stormtroopers. And then the last thing that's a little odd is just military themed Lego minifigs. And so I'm into 5 branches right now, and MP is certainly slowed down, but Classified, Black Series, Legends, and the Lego minifigs, those are just constantly evolving, and my wife just seems to give me grief every week when a new box shows up, but it is what it is.
Oh, Pake is still there?
I don't see.
Hello.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh.
I was saying, that was a great story. I was gonna say, did you see some of these comments from the Peanut Gallery? Chris says,
Yeah,
Rangers fan.
I'm just ignoring them. Being a Leafs fan is just bitter. It's not even bittersweet. It's just bitter.
Hey man, at least you know you're a true fan though. Like you're not a bandwagon fan, right? So
yeah. The thing was, when the Raptors won a couple of years ago, and the city just went nuts. But and so many people thought, "Wow, we never had any idea what Toronto was like for basketball." That would be a drop in the bucket compared to if the Leafs ever won, they would shut down the city for a week.
Yep.
Guaranteed. But hopefully we'll see that in my lifetime.
all right, cool. That does it for our story time segment. Hope you guys enjoyed it. New segment. So I think we're up to 11 or 12 different segments that we've done on Chatterday in just the 9 episodes so far. So we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it fresh. But as always, the family favorite that we have is This or That, which was a really difficult one for me to do. So we only have a couple. But I think they're ones, there's only one I think is going to be really relevant. But given that there was a Pokemon theme, I wanted to do one on Pokemon. I don't know if you guys are Pokemon fans or not, but we're going to see. All right, so if you haven't been part of Chatterday before, This or That is we're going to show choices, and each of our guests, including myself, will pick a side. They have to pick one or the other. They have to share their opinion and why. And then you in the chat can also participate, because I will be putting up a poll simultaneously so we can see what your opinions are on this or that. All right. So, like I said, we only have a couple this time. So the first one, being Pokemon themed, is Charizard X or Charizard Y. Very, very easy this or that for me to pick. So I'm going to open it up and see if any of our Canadian or wannabe Canadian wants to go and choose which one of these evolutions of our favorite Charmander you would go with. So who's first?
Okay, so tell me the difference between X and Y, because I'm familiar with Charizard. I did not know he had variations.
Yeah, that's a new thing that they did. It's not even new. It's like several years old now, but they now would allow additional evolutions to different branches that you would basically be able to branch into different evolutions. And they just come with their different abilities. So while these do kind of look the same, they are actually different in terms of what they can execute. And I'm actually thinking, I just realized this Charizard Y picture is not even accurate. The Charizard Y does not look like that.
I have no idea between the two of them, because the only Pokemon I know of is Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm gonna pause this real quick and get a real picture of a true Charizard Y here.
Okay, that'll give me the chance to Google the two of them.
All right, what about you, Steve? Are you a Pokemon fan?
Absolutely not, but I'm going with the Peanut Gallery, and just black looks better than orange, so that's my pick.
No, I'll go with orange just because it's like OG Charizard.
All right, give me a second.
I'll go with the blue one, because I thought it looked like Godzilla with the blue flame breath.
All right, hold on. Let's get it back in here. All right, there we go. So this is what Y actually looks like. They aren't just color swaps. They actually have different. You can see the different wings, the different head crest kind of thing. Even like the wings on the arms, and I think that's one of the things that Y is supposed to be more agile, more mobile and stuff like that. While X is a little bit more of a power type Pokemon. So let's see. Like I said, there is a live chat going on below in the chat. So if you don't know how to do that, just go into the live chat. If you're joining us afterwards, obviously you won't be able to participate, but you can always leave a comment and give us your reasons why. So let's see what some of the peanut gallery said. Let's see here. I still function says Psyduck for the win. Is this or that? Not write in your own. We have an additional 0 now. What does that mean? None of these guys have any idea. Anthony Brown says always bet on black. Wesley Snipes. Passenger 58.
Must have been the sequel to Passenger 57.
Daryl P says me too. No, yeah, he corrected himself saying 57. True Star Screamer says, as they say, X gonna give it to you. You guys are good with the
the peanut gallery is on fire this evening.
I know, they're pretty clever today.
Haha, fire! See what I did there?
Oh, geez, that one went right over my head. All right, so we had who went with the orange? Who went with Y?
I guess I went with Y if he's orange.
Yeah, he's orange, and we got. I'm team black as well. Always been on black, so definitely we're in the same opinion as the Chatterday group, because they are also 75% going with Charizard X, which is exactly 3 out of 4. So we're in the same boat here. All right,
which is interesting because apparently I just looked it up. Apparently, Y's stats are much higher than X's.
Really?
Yep.
No, I don't believe that. All right. So this one I think is going to be one that speaks more to the folks that are on here today. Specifically Rusty. He's the one I was thinking about when I put this one together. But I think a lot of folks are in the same boat here. So let's see. It's going to be this, which is Masterpiece Collections. And then as Rusty said, or that, which is Legends Collection. Also a quick shout out to Sixo, because he always does some really good photography. He's the one that I stole this photo from on the Masterpiece side.
Nice.
Or I'm gonna go with first party mainline stuff. So like the Studio Series 86, the Legacy stuff like that.
So this or that or that.
Yeah. We've done triple this or that.
We've done that before. This or that or the other.
Yeah, this, that, or the other. There you go.
All right. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and put. There we go. Hold on. Masterpiece. While I type this up, who wants to go first and take a shot at this or that or the other? I guess.
All right. Because you shouted me out first, so I'll dive into this. So. Maybe you should come back to me. Oh man, that's tough because like the stuff that the Legend scale companies are putting out is just ridiculous. Like with the articulation and the transformation at such a small scale, it's such impressive engineering, and that's what got me hooked on Masterpiece was the engineering in the Masterpiece and the detail in the Masterpiece while still, staying true to the G1 character, right? So, but. I'm going to go with Masterpiece because my heart is still there, but I'm like I said, I'm getting sucked into the Legends, and I'm not sure I'm liking it.
All right, you're still staying faithful, but you're saying you have that temptress of Legends.
There's that mistress over there. She's tempting me.
All right, so we got one vote for Masterpiece. All right, who's next? Steve, why don't you go next? Which one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Masterpiece as well, just because it's where everything started for me. But again, to echo what Rusty just said, I have gone full throttle into Legends, and I probably have more Legends figures now than I do MP figures, and even all of my pre-orders now. But I think it's just the reality, the situation now. Like I'm probably ordering 3 Legends figures for every MP figure I'm ordering, if not more. But it's very close. And again, a few years ago, even when I started with Legends a few years ago, MP was still predominantly the choice. But that gap, for me at least, has narrowed significantly over the years. But still have to go with MP.
All right, really quickly, I'm going to show this again. TM Reviews, great buddy of mine. He says Legends is definitely the mistress.
That's good.
Masterpiece is
next
the
one's
wife.
better.
Yeah.
And then Mainline is the ex-girlfriend. That is the best analogy.
Yeah, that's one other thing I'll say. I have absolutely zero interest in Mainline. And it's not to say that Mainline's bad. It's just not my thing.
Yep.
Really interesting.
Yep.
All right. Chad, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go. Just I mean, it's going to be Masterpiece. I've dealt with 3 Legends, I think, total: the Perceptor, the Starscream, which was New Age, and then the New Age Devastator. And some of the Legends are just they're flimsy. They don't stand like properly. They're really loose. And currently the prices of Legends are just going up to where it's almost the price of a Masterpiece lately. So, and like I said, it's going to be just a regular Masterpiece for me, for the bang for the buck. And as someone who put it, like, it has a presence on the shelf.
No, who was it that said that? Lowell says, yeah, Legends just don't have the shelf presence. I will say that I don't know, because sometimes I see some of these Legends photos that come out, and I'm just like, is that a new Masterpiece? And I feel like just the fact that you can put more on there. Like when I started collecting, all my displays were like actually scenes. But then as you had more, I just couldn't do scenes anymore. Now they're all just standing there, and it feels honestly a little boring. But like even just in the photos we see here, you can see that all the Masterpieces are just kind of standing there. At least in the New Age one or the Legends one, you got people posing. You have them on, flight stands, and it still just takes up such a small amount of space. So I think it depends on really how well you set up your shelf and display that really does the shelf presence, at least for me. Really quickly, going back, a couple of comments on the analogy here. Anthony Brown says, nothing wrong with side chick Saturdays. True Star Screamer says, the ex-girlfriend you still check in on and feel dirty later. That segues very well into what I was going to say, which, I mean, I'm a Masterpiece fan at heart. That's what I still collect, whether it's first party or third party. Masterpiece is my main as well. However, I definitely am more dabbling on the mainline than I am on Legends. So especially the Studio Series, just because, as Chad said, the Legends are just getting kind of ridiculous, especially New Age in particular, with their pricing. Like, I just can't justify that. But the new mainline stuff is just kind of fun, and it's cheap. You can pick it up, a couple of them, and they're just honestly well engineered for what they do. People will still complain about the ever shrinking size of the mainline stuff and the ever increasing cost of them, but I still think that some of the stuff they're releasing is really impressive. Like the Dinobots, I think the Dinobots are great, and they're impossible to find. I still haven't been able to find a Slag/Slug, and I'm guessing it's going to be the same way with Sludge when he gets released. But I think it's pretty unanimous here. We got all Masterpiece. In the chat, we got 84% with Masterpiece. So let me end that poll there. 84% with Masterpiece. What's the rest of the results? 15% Legends and 0% Mainline. I'm actually surprised that we had 0 Mainliners.
So I'm curious, just like, if you don't mind, before. So somebody made a comment that Legends is overrated. Do you guys feel like, forget the cost, right? Because I think we agree the cost is part of an issue. But do you feel Legends is overrated?
Okay, I don't put a pin in that one, because we're gonna. I think that's a good topic for one of our other segments.
Fair enough.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Hot take.
Oh, how did he know? Hot take is up next.
Oh, man.
And I think that's a good discussion topic. Are Legends overrated? Okay, so go ahead, Rusty. continue
Well,
on. I'll let you set it up.
so I like I don't have a lot of experience because I literally just started probably in the last 6 months actually checking out some Legends figures. So I've probably had my hands on about 5 between Iron Factory and New Age. I think the thing that gets me with them is that's where I saw the comment. So the the thing that gets me is that like it's like the engineering that you get in MP, you almost get the equivalent engineering in Legends. And so at that scale, for me, that's the thing that's the most impressive. And the thing that got me hooked in MP was the same idea. It was always the engineering that like the wizardry, the magic, whatever you want to call it, that when you had the figure in hand and you watched like this one part disappear inside the figure somewhere when you were changing it to alt mode, and you get that same feeling with the Legends. So I don't feel like they're overrated. I feel like you had to take into account that at that scale you're getting very similar engineering, and that's got to be impressive.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, look, you've got to be realistic. The price for what you're getting for a Legends figure compared to an MP, it's no contest. The better dollar value is with MP for sure. But putting that aside, the way Legends have evolved the last couple of years, the engineering at that scale, I have to really echo what Rusty said. The engineering at that scale and how they're able to put certain finishes on them, especially New Age with all the paint and the sculpting at that scale, to me is amazing. And the thing is with MP, there's more playability with Legends as well. You can sit there, you can hold, with MP, of whether you're transforming it or not, that's certainly a bit of an exercise. But with some Legends now, that's an exercise as well. But I think money aside, just looking at the actual product itself, I don't think they're overrated.
And so real quick, Dare followed up his comment and said, and that's why Legends get a pass. Example, Legends used ball joints everywhere, and Fan Toys was getting lambasted for using ball joints on Skull Cruncher's shoulders. So I think this is an interesting one because at first I was taken aback by the fact that they use ball joints. But those ball joints actually hold up pretty well. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Usually the problem is for larger figures or even, like Voyager or Leaders figures, when you have ball joints, they aren't executed well. So I had no problem with it with Skull Cruncher. That said, when you're paying like, $200+ for a Masterpiece figure, I feel like they could have invested more in that engineering because I don't know why that was an engineering choice, right? Like why they had to go with ball joints there.
But I had the same impression, but the minute that I transformed him, like something in my head went, okay, I can see why they went with the ball joint, because you needed to like kind of rotate
the way you
the arm
the way you
around and
manipulate
still
those
have
limbs.
that articulation for his alt mode,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, how would they have done that with a ratchet? How would they have done that with a butterfly joint? How would they? To me, it was like, it's fine because of what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I agree. When I first got mine and I saw that, I thought, wow, I wasn't sure about that, but yeah, my chomp has been totally fine. And you see the comment from TM right there, and that's exactly what I was going to say. The weight with Legends figures means there's essentially no issue with ball joints, because ball joints will work fine for figures at that size, but for most MP figures, they wouldn't work.
Yeah, and then Derek followed up saying, but that's the point. Everyone's first impression was negative, but if it was Legends, well, I mean, because Legends, just from the scale, like you're not really going to be able to do the types
you
of
can't do ratchet.
You can't do exactly. You can't do a ratchet joint at that scale. It's impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably could, but it probably would be way more fragile because you're putting a lot of stress when you do ratchets.
Well, right, and it. I mean, I can't see it being die cast in any way, right? It would probably be plastic, in which case you'd probably just shear off the teeth after a while, right? So
yeah. So yeah, I mean that was a really good hot take from our audience. Thanks, Dare, for throwing that one out there preemptively. Anybody else have any other hot takes that they want to put out? And again, we can stay on the topic of collection evolutions, or we can kind of deviate as well. No hot takes.
Oh,
No, I'm good.
so everybody, what's everybody think the price of Fortress Maximus is actually going to be? Speaking of price of figures,
I don't know.
It doesn't matter because my wife told me don't even think about it.
I've already got a
once I ordered Hannibal. Once I ordered Hannibal, she was like, "Yeah, no, there's no way that's making it in the house."
What was the latest thing I saw? So they're saying now that they're only going to make them for the people that pre-ordered them. I saw something about that yesterday. Is that actually? Does anyone know if that's actually true?
I haven't heard anything.
I saw something about that yesterday. $895 Sony, really? You think that low? I was thinking like at least $1,000 US.
I think the hardest part about this is we don't really know how it's going to be like distributed. So I thought it was going to come like in like 5 parts, right? So you got the head, you got kind of like the torso and one arm, torso and another arm, and I thought like one of the legs / hips. But I know so at some point they were saying that it's only going to be 2 other parts or something like that. I was like, I don't even know how they would package that and ship that. Like, to be perfectly honest.
I kept picturing it like Terminus Gigantus, right? They had it in 2 boxes. But for the size of it, I'm like, I feel like it's probably going to be 3. But but where's the separation, right? Like I don't,
Yeah. No. Ghost Rider says Fort Max will be $750. I think HasLab Unicorn was $600. There's no way.
I can't see that. I can't.
Like this thing's 4 feet tall.
Yeah, right? I just automatically assumed at least 1,000.
It's got to be.
Yeah, it's a 4-foot figure.
And I'm also kind of curious because have they shown any other pictures besides that one render?
Just the render.
Think so yeah,
the robot mode, right?
Else.
So
yeah, they haven't even shown the alt mode. Like there's been no pictures of the alt mode, and the only colorized one has been a what do you call it? What's the term we use there when somebody colorizes one of them?
I don't remember.
I'm blanking. I've had too many beer this afternoon.
But I mean, I guess the only reason I bring that up is because do you think they would ever go with just making it non-transformable?
Oh, I think the fandom would absolutely lose their mind. $1,000 for a non-transforming figure.
No, I mean maybe it would be $1,000 though, right? I mean,
well, Pake has a $1,000 non-transforming Optimus back there somewhere.
I do.
But even $750 for a non-transforming Fort Max, I mean, I think the fandom would just lose their minds. And Sony, yeah, that's the thing that I keep thinking about too is the shipping. Like, what is for like is Show Z and all those ones that actually offer free shipping? Are they actually going to be able to pull off free shipping for a figure that size?
I mean, that's the thing. There's
I
so
don't see how
little
they
to know that I don't even know how to guess without knowing at least a little bit more about the details.
Yeah.
Like maybe they'll just do the one alt mode, right? Kind of the base, not the flying. Maybe they'll just do the flying ship and not like the base mode. Or if they're doing all 3 modes, I mean,
that's a tough ask.
Even if it's simple, because like in general the transformations are pretty basic, but even still, if they do allow for all 3 modes, I just don't even want to. I don't even want to guess how much it's going to be. But we got some folks here. A lot of folks thinking it's going to be $1,000 or more. I Still Function. He says his Fort Max price will be the equivalent of a used 99.
Dude, you can get a used 99 Civic for $500. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would like to say that I'm definitely going to get it, but I'm not committing at all. Like I'm pretty happy with just having Hannibal, I would
Yeah,
be
same
okay
here.
not having anything else.
Same here. I'm gonna have it displayed in head mode. I'm good.
I don't even know where I would put it. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a 4-foot
Sorry.
figure. Where are you gonna put it?
When as soon as they announced it, I made a spot for it. I was like, this thing is going right here. And I moved some stuff around.
clearly, you have more real estate in Toronto than we do, but I don't know. Speaking of which, Ed, you're saying that just since you moved, it looks like your collection space might have had expanded. You have more space in your new place.
I mean, I just have a dedicated room now. That's about it.
Oh, all right. Well, just a dedicated room. You didn't have that before, right?
I did, but I didn't have as much.
Oh, okay. All right. Any other hot takes, either from our guests here or from the audience? Well, Dex School thinks it's going to be 2,500 to 3,500.
Jesus.
I would definitely be out on that.
I would be out if it's
yeah.
if it's
No way.
over, like if it's drastically over $1,000. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. I've budgeted for like $1,000, and
Yeah. We'll see how it works out, because I just don't understand how they would package it into 2 or even 3 pieces. I just don't understand how it would fit.
Yeah, I mean, with shipping now, I mean, even with Omega, back then, shipping wasn't what it is now.
yeah, it wasn't
So
astronomical.
that is just such a huge challenge.
Yeah,
it really is.
Speaking of big things, Anthony Brown brought up that was it Like Toys?
Like Toys,
Yeah,
Metroplex.
Like Toys, yeah. It looks good from the image, but again, there's no way on earth I'd get something that big.
Yeah, especially something that big from a first time outing. There's no way I would even.
The problem I have with it is the scale, right? Like Metroplex is not supposed to be as big as Fort Max, and they're quoting that it's going to be the same height as Fort Max, right? As Fans Toys Fort Max. So it to me, it like throws me off. I'm like, I don't like. I would rather have a 3-foot tall Metroplex, right? Not another 4-foot tall, because they're not supposed to be the same size. So anyway.
All right. Well, I think that was a good quick segment on Hot Take. We're going to go to the hit list. So we're talking about collection evolutions, and we've talked about things that we've gone to. What are the things on your collection evolution hit list? So what are the things that you want? So Sherlock was saying that, he's expanded, gone into other nostalgia areas. Is there one? What's the one thing that you want to collect on your hit list that's going to be the next evolution, if you have one? It could be a specific series that hasn't come out yet, or maybe even like we were talking about Captain Planet, maybe from NECA, if that's a kind of a dream, or if it is specifically a figure like Fort Max from Fans Toys. So what is your desired hit list?
I think, because we were talking about how all these 80s properties now are getting, a better version made, a la Super 7. Like I said, they're coming out with, I'm still waiting on my Silverhawks to come out. So, I mean, that would be on the hit list, but like I said, I've already got them pre-ordered, so that's a given. So I think if I would want somebody to tackle something else that I don't have currently, maybe like a new Brave Stars series, just because the toys were just so massive back then, it doesn't really fit in line with any other 6-inch scale.
Brave Star, all right. That's an interesting one.
There's a cartoon I haven't heard mentioned in a long time. And now the theme music is playing in my head, you jerk.
That's right. You'll never get it out of your head.
I know, it's terrible.
You're going to go on YouTube and watch it now.
That's what I was going to say. I remember very distinctly having a lunchbox and thermos for Brave Star.
Yeah.
But I don't remember anything about the show. Like other than that he had like the horse,
30-30.
Yeah. One of the most brittle toys you would ever own was the old 30-30 toy.
Well, because it did actually like transform, right? It did actually transform from like standing up right down to and
if you want to call that transform, he stood up on his hind
but it
leg.
wasn't very well made. You're right. Like it was. I think it was the hips, right? They would just break off when you were trying to. Yeah.
It's like brittle. It was like brittle, like silver plastic syndrome.
Yeah,
Mm.
so T-Man 978 making a guest appearance here. He says, I don't know which Titan is supposed to be taller because I hear it different ways every time. I heard that Metroplex is supposed to be taller because he's a city and not a fortress.
I think I think it just attributed to the Metroplex toy was not as big as the Fortress Maximus toy in the original
Oh,
toy,
yeah.
right?
It wasn't even close.
So
Yeah.
I always picture the Fortress Maximus was bigger, but maybe he's right. Maybe all the Titans are supposed to be the same size. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Mm.
All right, so we got Brave Star from Sherlock. What about the rest of you guys? What's on your hit list?
If so, absolutely. So I like again. I like I said earlier, I've got this very focused collection style all the time, and I'll pick one thing, and I'll just go at it. So I really I've gotten all the MP stuff that I want that's out. So I'm good. But the thing the other interest that I have is motorsports, and there are times where I have actually considered trying to collect real life vehicles that match with the Transformers G1 characters, right? So like a Datsun 240Z for all the Datsun brothers, and like line them up in my driveway. But it's obvious absolute insanity. I mean, you know, I'd have to be a millionaire to do that, and I do not have the money. I can barely afford this stuff. But if I did have the money, that's what I would do. I would go out and I would collect the cars, paint them, get them wrapped, whatever, to make them look like the G1 versions of the vehicles.
Yeah, that's a big hit list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my big thing, and I think this is partly frustration being in Canada, and it just seems to be tougher to get these figures. And it's a line that I'm trying to get into is GI Joe Classified, and just seeing how many more figures are going to come out, and then if they're actually even available. You know, you hear the frustrations about people in the States with the Target exclusives for the line. Um, you know, multiply that by 10 for living outside of the States to try and get your hands on them. So my big thing is, because for the figures that I do have, I think they're fantastic. So just hoping that that line is going to increase and be easier to get down the road, because I would be all in on that.
All right. So G.I. Joe Classified. I know that's one that a lot of folks have gotten into. I know T does most of them. I even think that Sony was really into it. TM Reviews was into it for a while, but I don't know if he's still doing reviews on those.
Yeah, I thought I heard him say that he was going to sell them all
Yeah, that's what I
on one
thought
of his
too.
videos. Yeah.
Let's see. I was showing off a bunch of folks. People were talking about Inhumanoids, Mass, Centurions. One that I have is MMC Desaurus, which I don't have his chest master in, but I have a little preview version. Unfortunately, if you guys have seen, I've done a couple of shorts on this, but I haven't been able to do a full review. The main reason is that this is actually a really early sample, not even a latest recent sample. So a lot of the functions don't actually work. Like the tabs aren't refined yet, and one part is actually broken from just being shipped around different conventions and so forth. So I am going to do a couple more shorts on that, but I did do like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 shorts just on the Breastmaster. So you can check that out. That is on my channel already. Let's see. What did T-Man say? T-Man says the only thing he remembers about Inhumanoids is the theme song. I definitely need to go back and watch the Brave Star theme song now. Hopefully I don't regret it like you guys are saying.
You will regret it.
No,
All
no,
right.
it
For days.
it slaps. Okay, it slaps.
What is Visionaries? I don't even know what Visionaries.
Holographic chest knights.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Yes,
Vaguely.
where your imagination had to really be good when you were a child, because the figures had nothing to do with what they did in the show.
Oh, Robot Showtune says tiger sharks. I think does he mean street sharks?
No, tiger sharks. It was
No, Tiger Sharks was a.
it lined up with Thundercats, Silverhawks, and then Tiger Sharks.
Oh, I don't remember that at all, but I do remember
Yeah.
Street Sharks. I love me some Street Sharks, and Vin Diesel doing the commercial for some Street Sharks. You guys remember that?
Jawsome.
Oh man, I Still Function says, anybody remember Cops? I love Bulletproof.
Oh, yeah.
Bulletproof was the man.
Yeah.
SWAT Cats. Ghost Rider says that. I know. I think Parts Former was talking about SWAT Cats just the other day on the other week on Figure Action Podcast. So I do pay attention. I do watch that. I know they give me a hard time for not always being on there, but
It's funny. It's funny that SWAT Cats came up because I backed like a Kickstarter years ago from the creators of SWAT Cats. They're trying to do a new series, and then I guess now they're in talks with somebody else to actually produce a new series.
Interesting. All right, so this is our hit list. Oh, sorry, I didn't do mine. So I put G Gundam. I am a unabashedly huge fan of G Gundam. If you guys don't know G Gundam, it's like the most ridiculous Gundam series ever. But I keep running into people just sporadically that love G Gundam, whether it's on live streams or just in my everyday life. It's just kind of weird, but it's unlike any other Gundam series because it's like a battle series. So the story takes place where it's like all the space colonies now decide who will be like the lead colony for space by doing basically a battle arena tournament of Gundams. So they build their own Gundams and they fight against other countries' Gundams, and that is like the most racist stuff. Like they have a tequila Gundam from Mexico who has like a sombrero and a poncho. The windmill Gundam from the Netherlands. They have like the Indian one, which is like a skull for his body. It's like super racist, right? But it was so much fun. I loved it. They do a lot of like G Gundam stuff for like model kits, but I'd like to see some more high end stuff. I know TM Reviews did some reviews on the Gundam Universe figures, but I'd like to see them do some more high end stuff on G Gundam and do some of the more obscure, borderline racist ones because they're some of the best ones. Oh man, so G Gundam, I would love to see some more G Gundam stuff come out. I think that's one that's probably a little. Oh yeah, Anthony Brown says there's the zebra one from Africa, like the shield. Oh
my god!
Oh my!
Oh, he's the Dark Gundam. What do they call it in the? It was called the Dark Gundam in the U.S., but it was called the Devil Gundam because they had to take out Devil from the name. But yeah. See, Anthony Brown said that he loved G Gundam too. Dex Cool says, dude, I love G Gundam for being over the top. Yeah, it's ridiculously fun. And it's not like all the other Gundam series where it's like super hyper political and all this like drama. It's campy, but it's awesome. All right, so this is our hit list from our guest today, Sherlock Holmes with Brave Star. Remember to go ahead after this, head on over and check out the Brave Star theme song on YouTube. Steve I didn't even know how to put it. It's real life vehicles detailed to be like collectible.
That was me.
Oh, sorry. I'll switch these, and then then Steve was saying G.I. Joe Classified, and me with the G Gundam. So, oh man, see, I still see people just don't know about G Gundam. Look it up.
Well, after you just described them, now I actually want to go check it out. I probably will tomorrow and go see what all the hype is about.
Rain Mikamura, that's the love interest.
So do you have to know anything about Gundam to actually appreciate
No,
G Gundam?
It's in its own universe. It's like so it's not like part of the Universal Century, so you don't need to have any history. It's self-contained. It's not that long. I think it's only like I don't want to say it's like 40 episodes. And like I said, you can just have it on the background, and it's all about the different battles. Like the French one has like that like Napoleon type hat, that looks kind of like a boat. The American one is a mix between like a cowboy, a football player, and a surfer. So he rides on a surfboard, but he also has guns, and then he wears a football helmet and pads. The Chinese one is a dragon Gundam kind of thing, so that's pretty standard. What are the other ones? Oh, and they also are like part of the Shuffle Alliance. So this is like this. I'm gonna get too far into it. So we're oh, and the boxer too. He said the American one's also a boxer, so he's a cowboy, boxer, football player, and a surfer at minimum. So that's how the Japanese think of us. Yeah, Dexcool says the boxer too.
By the
All
way,
right.
somebody mentioned Macross earlier. That would be something else that I would go after if there was a decent Macross collection.
It's
out
so
there.
expensive, and it's like,
Oh, is it?
yeah, it's really expensive. So
Never mind.
Chad, Ron, what's Ron's TFW name?
Razor wire.
Razor Wire. Yeah, he's one of our another Virginia local. He collects a whole bunch of crap like Star Wars lightsabers, like high end stuff. He collects all this stuff, but I think he was saying that like the Macross stuff was by far the most stressful because like they sell out instantly. Like you got to be on it on the second that things are released, and then you have to be like rapidly clicking, or else it sells out. And then they're like very limited on who they allow to sell their figures. So I mean, each figure is like $300+, and they're super detailed. And he's always complaining. He's always saying like, "You guys think Masterpiece is cool? Check out a Macross figure. The engineering is phenomenal because all of them are basically jets, right? But they do more than like any of the jets that we have. So, but good luck to you if you mess with one. I'm guessing you're gonna get sucked into way more.
No.
All right, so that was our hit list. I think we only have a couple segments left. Oh, I forgot the bullet. Oh yeah, all right. So we're coming to the end. I always want to do comment time just to encourage folks to watch and comment. I do read and almost comment on reply to almost all comments, so I try my best. I don't get that many, so it's very easy for me right now. If I get gangbusters like Team Man who just passed 25,000 subs this week, so congratulations, Team Man. Or like TM also gets a ton of comments, even though his subscriber count is I think only slightly less than mine. He does so much content nowadays. He seems like he does a video every day, so I'm sure he'll be passing me later this year. But comment time. First one up is I Still Function, who's with us in the chat right now. This is one of the shorts that I put up. He said breast. And when I read that, I pictured, or the way it sounded, I used the Beavis, Butthead voice. He's like, he said breast. All right, the second one was Anarchus. He says, "Oh no, it seems like you have not done any normal video reviews since your Iceman review. What a shame. I really like them more so than these unedited live streams," which is a shame because I know a lot of people, and I have lost a considerable amount of subscribers since I've made this transition, but I have no intention of going back to regular reviews whatsoever. I love the live streams. I love Chatterdays. Love the live stream reviews, even though they're not as streamlined and that's probably not as helpful as a lot of folks have enjoyed with my original ones. I don't see myself ever going back. I'm not gonna lie. So I said, yeah, I only do live streams now. He also had a question about bucks because clearly he's not American. Because he was like, he said, I don't know what bucks are, but I got mine for about $100 USD. And so I had to explain to him that bucks are just slang for dollars. So I always find it interesting when I have non-North Americans watching, because when I look at my statistics, there are very few that are outside of the U.S. or North America.
T-Man just said if you go back, he's unsubscribing.
What did he say?
He said if you go back, I'm unsubscribing.
Go back where? Oh, go back to
go back to the reviews.
Lowell says, love the live stream reviews. I'm glad you do. I really enjoy them. Oh, I Still Function says I recently acquired the DX VF 1J with, I don't even know what GBP is, but this is one of the Macross figures. Their names are super confusing. So, Dagerenesis. I prefer the live streams and reviews because they can show issues that I'm likely to have when I transform them. Yeah, and I can answer questions live instead of in the comments. So,
Dageranus.
Dagerenesis? Is that what is it? Is that
No,
what it is?
that's what Lowell respond. Like, I agree, Dageranus.
See, we're having so much fun on the live streams. All right, the next one is from Bordeaux. He says, I think I would clean up on this. So this is in reference to the Jeopardy that we had the last Chatterday, episode 8, which was so much fun. I had a lot of fun putting it together, even though it took me 3 days to come up with all those questions. He sounds like our own Chad here. Chad was in the Discord talking a lot of trash that he was going to clean up. So Chad is already signed up for coming on another episode of Peg for Life Jeopardy. So we'll see. And I said, talk is cheap. Come on to the Discord and volunteer for a future one. So that's open to anyone. Like I said, any of my live streams, Chatterdays, I'm willing to bring on anyone who wants. The best way to do that is to click on the Discord link in the description below on any of these Chatterdays, and then you can join the server. And then there's a private room specifically for people who are interested in Chatterday, whether it's coming up with topics or volunteering for stuff. So yeah, if you want to join and you think you can beat our very own Sherlock Holmes here, or who won last time? What's it called?
Oh, that was Zero, wasn't it?
Yeah, Extra Zero won. Jordan, he won, so he'll be coming into the next round. We're gonna do several rounds of this, and I'll give a prize out. Oh, really quick shout out to Xenomorph, always joining the live streams. I appreciate it, and always being so generous with his donations. Ba Weep, Brana Weep, Nitty Bong, guys. I'm late, but thanks. Even if you're late, we really appreciate it. All right, let's see who else we got here. Oh, I have one last one, another one from Jeopardy last week, who T-Man was also on there. He got second place with, I think, like 500 points or something like that. But this Brian Swanson says, what a fun idea. Really enjoyed this. I also love how T-Man was so excited about his Hannibal. He was playing with it during the game. So I replied, he should have been paying attention to the game. That's why he lost. And Brian says, haha, I didn't want to say it. So T-Man, he didn't come in last, but he was in last for the vast majority of the show. But he is not going to be back for another episode of Jeopardy because he was an epic failure. Robot Joe Tunes asked, when is the comics Chatterday? So that one is going to be coming back up. Anthony Brown probably will be in that one. I think he's one of the ones that has an extensive comic collection. Rusty, if we don't want to tap you too much, if we don't get very many volunteers, I know you said that you also had an extensive comic book collection, so we can always have you back as well.
Whatever you need, buddy.
This is T-Man's reply.
He's crying, as he should be.
Yeah, definitely. All right, but we will be doing comics at some point. But the way I have been doing it previously is going back and forth between like a Transformer/collectibles theme for one Chatterday, and the next one will be non-Transformers, some other topic. We've done wrestling, we've done video games. We've done like manga, stuff like that. So we did this the last one. This one is a collecting one. So the next one will probably be an off-topic one, maybe Chatterday. Comic books. But the next one actually is going to be, we're going to skip Q&A. The next one actually is going to be Jeopardy episode 2. So we will have Jeopardy in 2 weeks. I got to come up with all those questions. What is it? 30. So like 61 different questions. I got to come up with that. But yeah, that will be our next episode in 2 weeks. So again, Chatterday is bi-weekly. So in 2 weeks, we'll have that. Other stuff that's coming up is DZEF. So MMC's Thesaurus, not the continuum version that I have here, but the regular release should be releasing early part of June. So I should have a review on that at some point. And today, I did a whole bunch of cleanup and actually opened a lot of unopened stuff for the first time, including Star Saber, Iron Train Star Saber. I also opened my Metallic Fuma. I opened, What else did I open? Yeah, I opened like 4 different figures. So if I don't get lazy, I'm gonna go ahead and review one of those, even if it's an older one. So Robot Show Tunes asked if it's gonna be the same categories. Of course not. Why would it be the same categories? You know, I don't even do the same segments on each of the Chatterdays. There will be some returning favorites. Like we're gonna be doing the before and after, which I thought was a really fun topic. Really interesting way to do questions, and those were the hardest to come up with, to be perfectly honest. But it seems like everyone enjoyed those. We will do very recurring ones, but we're going to switch it up, so they're not going to be the same categories every single time. Otherwise, that'd be too easy. I don't want to keep. I want to keep people on their toes. So let's see. T-Man says open Unicron. You can see that Unicron is no longer in my space here. I actually put into storage because I knew I just wasn't going to open them anytime soon. So, all right. So yeah, that will be in 2 weeks' time, Saturday, 9 p.m. And again, these are the links on how to get involved with me. So Discord is the best. That link will get you to the Pig for Life server where you can get involved. We also have other channels. It's not that active right now. And that's really on my probably my fault. I'm just not as active in there as I should be. But definitely, let's try to build up the community. Get in there. Whether you want to be a part of Chatterday or not, it's a good place to hang out. We talk about news every once in a while, like new releases, new figures, new photos. And it's a good place just to get to know people like Rusty, Steve, Chad. Chad's always talking a lot of trash, so I welcome you to put him in his place. Let's see. Is that it? I think that's it.
No, I still functions talk about the Blitzway Voltron, but I'm still waiting on Toy Dojo to get him in.
Yeah. So Blitzway Voltron was released overseas already for, I think it's been out for a while now, like at least a few weeks. But the U.S. release is not for, I think, a couple months at least. I think until, I think Toy Dojo said mid-year or something like that. So I definitely ordered that. So when that comes in, I'll hopefully do a review on that. But yeah, I'm really excited about that one. But Chad, did you see any of the early reviews? I heard some were having QC issues about parts breaking open and stuff like that.
I watched a couple last week, and nobody had any detrimental flaws. I think there was like one like paint scuff, but other than that, no one's had issues that I saw.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. I'm hoping that if we get a later release, those QC issues are at least tuned in a bit. All right, so with that, I'm going to say thank you to everyone for joining. If you haven't already, if you enjoyed this Chatterday or any of the other Chatterdays, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, share with your friends. Let them know that we got some fun stuff going on. With that, I want to hand it over and go through each of our guests and let them say their goodbyes. So, Rusty, let's start with you.
Yeah, thanks again, Pick. Like, and everybody else is saying in the chat there. Like, I think we really appreciate that you do pull all this stuff together and make it entertaining for all of us. For myself, if anybody is following my channel, I do apologize. My last 3 weeks of my life have been an absolute disaster, and I've got all this stuff sitting behind me that I haven't even gotten a chance. I opened Chomp. I did like a quick thing, and I haven't done anything with it since. I've got Hannibal still sitting in the box, so I'm way behind in everything. I apologize to everybody, but please check out my channel. I do have stuff coming. I just haven't had time to get to it.
Yeah, I believe I did add the link to the Rusty Mechanics. He goes by Transformers Masterpiece Theater on YouTube, so that link is already in the description below. There's a shirt if you want. You selling that merch?
No, I just made that one up for TFCon last year. I haven't really gotten into the merch thing yet.
Gotcha. All right, Chad. What about you? Last goodbyes.
Appreciate having me on. I'm not a content creator. I'm not talented enough, so you don't have to follow me anywhere. But I look forward to next Chatterday for Jeopardy, so where I can back it up, I guess.
I'm going to make them extra hard for you. I'm also not going to do. I found out that you got back in for Revenge of the Fallen, so I'm not doing any Revenge of the Fallen questions because I bet you would clean up on that. All right, thanks, Chad. And Steve, again, thank you for coming on, being a return guest as well.
Yeah, so I'll just echo everyone's comments. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for putting this together. And a little side note, I'm glad that I'm not the only one who doesn't open a bunch of stuff. So just off to the side, thankfully, out of camera view, I've got about at least a dozen boxes right now that I haven't opened. So I feel a lot better about myself now.
No, I mean, if it was only a dozen, I would be okay. But as you can
Yep.
see, my life this is my life organized. This is my one of my other hobbies, which is collecting arcade sticks and modifying arcade sticks and arcade stuff, video game stuff in general. So this is the cleaned up version because my wife was saying I took up too much of the basement. I was literally sprawled all over our basement. She's like, you need to at least give me this half where the couch is and the movie theater area. You got to move everything past that. So everything is moved over today. I'll get that organized. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Thanks Rusty. Thanks Steve. Thanks Chad. We're all making it. We'll be back in 2 weeks again with Jeopardy. So if you didn't see that episode, that was the last episode. Check it out. See if you would have done well answering the questions against T-Man, Extra Zero, and who was the third one? Oh, Mike Rogers.
Mike Rogers, yeah.
Yeah. So see how you would have done against them. And if you think you can do better, challenge Chad or one of the future contestants. Let me know in the Discord. With that, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you guys have a great Saturday night, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you later, guys. Thanks a lot.
See you, everyone.
Later.